Fran Nicholson was a whirling dervish of activity at any given time. Walking, talking, baking, sewing, entertaining, designing jewelry, throwing jewelry parties, helping others, you name it. Fran Nicholson loved to talk. She never met a stranger. She loved her dog Sandy, and she had a most infectious laugh. She was the life of the party and the center of attention, all the while helping others. She was all of these things and so much more. And then she wasn't. In March of 2013, my mom, Fran Nicholson, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Our family was blindsided. We had no idea what to do first. Tired of calling so many family members and friends to let them know about this awful diagnosis, whatever it meant, I turned to Facebook. My mom was diagnosed with early stages of Alzheimer's today. Families just like ours are still being blindsided. Former First Lady Rosalynn Carter once said, "There are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who will be caregivers, those who are caregivers, those who have been caregivers, and those who will need caregivers." Odds are, you'll be one of those, if not all 4, at some point or another in your lifetime. Yes, there's a lot of information you can turn to out there. Too much, really. And trying to make sense of it all is just so damn frightening and confusing at a time when you're already frightened and confused. There's still no cause, there's still no cure, and families still aren't planning or talking about what is coming. So we're going to talk about it here. I'm Dana Steele, and this is Surviving Alzheimer's. This episode, we are going to talk to my brother-in-law, Dr. William Justice, from Aqualane Clinical Research. Willie talks to us about the early signs of memory loss that families should keep an eye out for. Wonder Husband and I are still on the road. We're about 9-10 weeks into a 1-year driving and flying adventure around the world. And we're actually at a friend's house in Colorado. Beautiful day in Colorado. Going to be speaking with my brother-in-law, Willie Justice, who is also Dr. William Justice, not only a leading neurologist in Naples, Florida, but also heading up an Alzheimer's research facility. So he's my go-to guy whenever I have questions, and really tried to help me early on when he saw the signs in Mom.
So what's up?
When they asked Mom to draw the numbers on a clock face, and she drew all the numbers 1 through 12 on a clock, on a circle, I kind of knew then. But let's, back up. What are some of the early signs that families should be, thinking about, looking for?
Repetitive questioning. Where are we going to dinner today? Where are we going to dinner today? Where are we going to dinner today? The repetitive questioning is an early sign. That's probably the one that the family will notice the most. You also may notice diminishment of organizational skills. So she doesn't quite keep the house in order like she once did. Or you may notice that her famous pot roast just doesn't taste the same as it once did because she forgets to put certain ingredients in, like mistake brownies.
Which, by the way, that will be coming up in a later episode, and I will be posting the recipe for mistake brownies as well, because they were friggin' amazing. So repetitive questioning, maybe not as organized or able to do, I guess, things that they would normally do without even thinking about. And what was the third one? See, you need to check me when I come to town.
Recipes.
Oh,
because anybody who cooks, they really don't use a recipe. The recipe's in their head. You're cooking to taste, and they forget, how do I get this taste? Oh, that's close enough, and then that's it. And all of a sudden, you're tasting Mom's famous whatever meatloaf, and it's not the same. Something's wrong. Something's off.
I remember. First of all, people will just, guilt themselves from here to eternity going, what did I miss? What did I miss? That's even comes up in a later episode where I talk about mom sent a $5,000 bracelet that she had fixed to the wrong person.
Mm.
Uh, didn't remember who my friend Christy was, who had been my best friend since we were teenagers and my maid of honor at my wedding. So little things like that, that at the time I just thought, well, that's weird, but whatever, just chalked it up. But what is the difference, Willie, between just natural aging, forgetfulness? Because that's what I would tell you. You would say, Dana, something's up with Fran. And I would say, nah, she's just dingy, she's getting older. Where do you say, oh, that's just normal aging? And then where do you say, okay, we have a problem?
Functional loss. So all of a sudden, mom was a genius with the bills and she missed one. All right. So she's losing that functional ability. Or she's always been a really good driver. And by the way, she kind of blew a red light and hit another car. Or she's parking the car in the garage and goes in too far and just dings the front of the garage a little bit. So functional loss is the distinction between natural aging and pathologic memory loss.
Can you give me an example of natural aging?
Natural aging is you forget where you put your keys.
Oh, well, I've been doing that since I was 17.
See, you were old then.
What else?
So
What else would be considered natural aging?
just minor forgetfulness, oh, what was the name of that actor, that we saw in that movie? Oh, Burt Reynolds. Yeah, that guy. Just little things, but they're not losing functional ability. They can still function day to day. And as soon as they start losing functional ability, that's the difference.
And if it's not functional ability that they're losing, I mean, it is. You're starting to see those things, the recipe, the driving, the not being able to do just everyday things, repetitive questions. What should a family do? What should a loved one do? What is your first step? We'll be right back with more from Dr. William Justice on the early signs of memory loss and what happens next. This podcast is brought to you in part by the book Surviving Alzheimer's with friends, Facebook, and a really big glass of wine. When Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I posted it on Facebook. What started as a way to let friends and family know Mom had Alzheimer's turned into a support system for me, and from that turned into a support system and a community. The first half of the book is the Facebook post, and that's to give people a sense of you're not alone. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's okay to laugh at inappropriate things. It's okay to cry. It's okay to say bad words, drink wine, and throw things. The other half of the book is very important resources for caregivers. The one thing I want you to take away is you never know. Love your family. Love everyone. Take every adventure. Do everything, but also make sure you have everything ready to go and you're organized in the background so that when all is said and done, you have lived today. I wish I had known. And if I wish I had known, I think there's other people that wish they could know what's coming next. Surviving Alzheimer's with Friends, Facebook, and a really big glass of wine is available at Amazon in paperback and Kindle versions. And now, back to the podcast, Surviving Alzheimer's with Dana Steele. We are so fortunate to have Dr. William Justice, also known as Teal Willie, in our family, a leading neurologist in Naples, Florida, and one of the creators of Aqualane Clinical Research. We've been talking to him about the early signs of memory loss, not just normal aging, but things that we should be concerned about. And so you see it. Now what do you do?
Go see your primary care doc and let them take a peek at the family member. And if there's a problem from their perspective, then they'll refer you to a specialist.
And what sort of things will that primary care doctor do that makes them think, okay, it's time to advance this to the next stage?
Well, they're going to talk to you, the family member. They're going to talk to the patient, and they'll probably do a quick little mental exam of the patient. Ask them some silly questions like, what year is it? What month is it? What city is it? They'll ask you the little mental status questions. And if it gets to their threshold of concern, they'll pass you on to somebody who's a specialist.
And one last question for you. What do you do if the family member says, oh no, they're fine?
you can't overcome denial on the part of the family, but what you can do is you can ask them to come back. Why don't you bring mom or dad back in about 6 months and we'll take a look at them again? Why don't you do that? And many times you can convince the family members to do that. And as time goes on, you'll be able to convince them, yeah, there's a real problem here. We need to go further.
Well, this is all fantastic. I love you. Get back to your day, and I'll call you later.
We'll
All
talk.
right. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again to Willie, Dr. William Justice from Aqualane Clinical Research, for joining us today and talking about the early signs of memory loss and what to do if you see it and you are concerned. Now, there is a common memory test that the primary care doctor may give your loved one. It's called a MOCA, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment Test. We've got a copy of it on the website at survivingalzheimerspodcast.com. Just scroll down to resources, you'll see it there. But a caveat, don't try to administer this yourself. It's just one of the many things your doctor is going to use to see how your loved one is doing. But at least you'll know why they're asking some of these questions and, can kind of be familiar with what's coming. Thanks for listening. I'm Dana Steele, and I will be back next week with another episode of #Surviving Alzheimer's. You've been listening to Surviving Alzheimer's with Dana Steele. If you have a comment or a question or a short story to share, reach out to us on social media. You'll find us everywhere. The transcript, images, family pictures, and links associated with this episode can always be found on our website at survivingalzheimerspodcast.com. Surviving Alzheimer's with Dana Steele is produced by JFA Entertainment and Blue Squirrel Productions, Dana Steele executive producer. Thanks to our podcast advisor, Toby Goodman from cxspartners.com. Original music composed and performed by Jeannie Cunningham. You can find the book, Surviving Alzheimer's with Friends, Facebook, and a Really Big Glass of Wine, in paperback and Kindle versions on Amazon.com. The Woman in the Mirror play will be staged at the new Revolution Stage Company in Palm Springs, California in the spring of 2024. Ticket information and dates coming soon. Need more? Visit that website, survivingalzheimerspodcast.com. As Mom always said, I love you, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck.